Stephen.
Andrew.
Fancy spending another quiet night inside number 9?
Yeah.
So we've reached the end of Series 4. And this is our now traditional wrap-up episode for the series. And what a series.
It is. It's an incredible series. When you just listed off the episodes a minute ago, that was... Yeah.
Yeah.
What a set.
Should we just list them off again?
Let's list them again, yeah.
Okay. So Go Zanzibar was the first one. Bernie Clifton's dressing room. Once Removed. To Have and to Hold. And the winner is Tempting Fate. And then obviously the Halloween special Deadline.
You're including that in this series, are you?
Well, I think we should, because we're releasing this after that podcast. Yeah, after, it's on iPlayer. It's within that bracket of Series 4, isn't it? I know it's a standalone, and I think it's important that it's a standalone because every series has 6 episodes, doesn't it? So
you don't want to upset people here, the diehards.
I'm hedging my bets in all the camps. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, let's just sort of. I mean, my planning for this episode hasn't been great.
It's felt like a while because I guess with the release schedule being the way it is, behind the scenes, we haven't done an episode since last Saturday. That episode was Deadline, and we finished the series the week before that. So It's quite a long time since we saw these episodes.
Very much so, and I feel like I invested so much emotion and energy into getting ready for Deadline that I feel a bit removed from Series 4.
Well, maybe we should lead with kind of some reflections on that evening then.
On Deadline evening. Transfer deadline day. Yeah, I mean, what a great time that was.
I had a great time.
I had a great time.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it went better than I had imagined, I think, in the end. Or fear. I think fear was the optimal, not the optimal. Whatever the word I'm looking for there.
Is the most accurate way of describing what you were feeling.
Exactly. But no, it was great. I'm really glad the tech worked. The chat was brilliant. It went into some places that we were just talking about before we started recording. Like the moment when Steve said they're just reeling off cricketing fielding positions in the chat box. That was one of the most absurd and yet one of my favourite moments of probably since starting recording this podcast. Full stop. It was like, these people are beautiful.
To have for the most part of it, I think we had about 25 people watching throughout the whole thing, and a large chunk of those were in the chat for the entire time talking to us, and just a really nice collective experience. Yeah,
it really was. It was that, you've talked about before that the Twitter experience, that it's just nice to have that little corner of the internet where it feels genuine and it feels like there's just a nice connection with people. And it was that in a live sense I found last weekend. And it was, it didn't take me long to get comfortable.
No.
Like, you can hear in my voice when I first start talking, there's some shakiness, which I quite like, even though I can't stand to listen to it. It just feels like, I can feel the fear. And then it doesn't take very long to then settle in and manageable.
The video's still up there and will stay up there.
It's been desecrated slightly by copyright laws, but
the other words, desecrated. And they had to take all of the clips out. I don't know. Desecrated feels quite dramatic.
It felt dramatic when you get that email through saying like your video has been blocked because
on the copyright grounds by the BBC. The BBC are after me.
Yeah,
that national institution are not happy with me right now.
But I sort of personified. I imagined, people from the BBC, like Moira Stewart, is like she's personally writing that email saying she's not happy.
She's just scrolling through YouTube looking for infringement of BBC intellectual property.
Yeah.
There's one. That was 30 seconds of a clip. They told me. Right, gone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but no, it was good. And we really appreciate the fact that people tuned in, and people have been saying really nice things. And we have given away our balaclavas. I haven't yet sent. We need to work that out.
I need to work out how to send that.
Yeah, Simon and Sal have won the balaclavas. So
I don't know if Sal entered for the balaclavas.
No, I don't think she did. I think Simon was the only one who actually entered for a balaclava.
Correct us if we're wrong, but Sal, a nice surprise for you.
I mean, you've offered.
It will be washed, yeah.
And you've offered your address, so you
do want to.
Or you're not turning it down. We'll go that far.
It's free head heat.
Yeah, it will be washed. Yeah, great. So, Series 4. I've printed out, because I like to sort of have the sheets of paper in front of me. Again,
like a newsreader.
Feel like
Moira Stewart. Yeah. Who knew she'd get 2 look-ins this episode?
There you go. Moira, if you're listening. Hey.
She probably is. She's about to copyright strike you for using her name repeatedly.
It is quite a copyrightable name, I would think.
Moira
Stewart. There's only one Moira Stewart.
That's what they chant on terraces.
Anyway, so I've printed out the emails that we've had through this series. Thanks to those of you who have emailed. Once again, sorry. Composure. Once again, sorry that we haven't responded to the emails, replying to them. But we kind of our policy is to respond during this episode with words out of our mouths.
Vocally.
I say it's a policy. It's not a written policy.
Yet.
It's just generally what we do. So Zanzibar, we kicked off. Can you remember kicking off with Zanzibar?
I do remember kicking off with Zanzibar. That was an episode that descended whilst we recorded it. Thanks to boy bands.
That's right, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So Lauren emailed us about Zanzibar. I think she sounded like she enjoyed it.
Yeah, which is lucky because it did descend.
Yeah. Colour was something that Lauren had picked up on. The Wes Anderson sort of hues. And
I guess it helps that Grand Budapest Hotel has those similar colours and is in a hotel.
That is
with
true.
A bellboy.
That is true.
So maybe that's also why it really put her in mind of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very pastel-y.
It is pastel-y, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was I love that episode. As we said at the time, it's just a real joy. Like, it's them showing off, but not in an obnoxious way. It's just almost like a gift.
Then there's a bit of that. There's quite a bit of that through this series, especially if you stick Deadline on the end as well. Them really showing off and showing what they can really do. If you think about Once Removed and the way that they turn storytelling on its head.
Yeah, totally. As well. That's a good point.
This is them their series of really. I think they've hit their stride at this point, and they're doing things that we haven't really seen much of before. Yeah,
what do you think? Do you think that's just they've kind of gained the confidence to be able to sort of back themselves and just do what they want and not feel like.
I think there's a bit of that. I think that also we spoke about series 2 and the idea of the difficult second series, and we're now, once we start this, we're 18 episodes deep at the beginning of this series, and they're having to sort of dig deep, I guess, into to try and keep this show interesting and unpredictable and all sorts of new stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so it's almost they're confident in what they're doing, but they're also pushing themselves and pushing the boundaries, their comfort zone, so to speak. Like, but yeah, it doesn't feel like that. I think those two things coming in sync together make it feel quite seamless. Like the fact that you can write an entire episode in iambic pentameter and it not feel ridiculous, and it come off as though they are really just demonstrating what they're capable of, and not like a sort of shaky attempt at it. Mm-hmm. It didn't come off as a first attempt at something and then not quite make it. It felt polished, as Lauren said. Yeah, it was elemental and polished. Yeah, exactly. But not pretentious. No, and it gives you enough to be able to talk about more than just that technique. It's more than just an episode in iambic pentameter. It's like that's the kind of tracks along which it goes. But there's more. I mean, we had a whole podcast talking about a lot more than just that, didn't we? So
then it was
boy bands.
That yeah, the iambic pentameter was just. I mean, it wasn't necessarily an iambic pentameter episode. It was a Shakespeare episode. An iambic pentameter was just one of the Shakespearean devices that was in it, along with all the other narrative and storytelling stuff as well. Yeah. And I guess
farcical nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. And almost treating it as the iambic pentameter is the bit that really sticks out, I guess. But actually is a whole lot more than that. There's a lot of understanding of Shakespeare and what he did running through everything in that episode.
Quite. Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of likened it to a dance through all of Shakespeare's kind of oeuvre. Plays. Yeah, exactly. Oeuvre. Yes, that's Zanzibar. Bernie Clifton's dressing room said Lauren sent us an email. Lauren's she's great because she sends us an email. There's only one episode I think she didn't send us an email about.
You calling her out?
I didn't see it. But underneath once removed, I've got no Lauren emails. Did she send one or did I delete it?
I don't know. You might have just deleted it before I had a chance to read it.
But her opening line to Bernie Clifton's dressing room. I don't know if I'm allowed to read this out, but it did make me laugh.
Yeah, I think you should.
Pass me the first aid kit and send me to horny jail. Reese looks off the scale hot in this. Okay, I'm done. That's all she sent. It's not all she sent.
Which isn't the first thing that I went to when I saw this episode.
No, to be honest, I didn't have that thought through the entire episode myself, but that's great. Insight into Lauren's kind of
view on Reese.
She
does love Reese.
Lauren's view on Reese. Anyway, yeah, so I mean Bernie Clifton's dressing room is just
genius.
Phenomenal.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's a tough watch. Mm-hmm. But again, it's so well written, and the way the episode builds up and the way that story between the two of them builds up before you get that heartbreak moment toward the end where it all comes spilling out about what had gone on between the two of them and the real reasons for Reese's Thomas. Yeah. Thomas's sort of attitude towards the double act. And the fact that the whole point of him trying to leave it behind and putting a stop to it was to try and save Len's life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that being the twist, as much as, if not more than, the fact that
he wasn't really there.
He's not really there. This is Len's funeral. Yeah. And yeah, Lauren picks up on the one of my favourite moments in the whole thing of when they're talking about being cheese and crackers.
Were you cheese and anything?
It was well, it's because cheese and onion was taken. Why do we have to be cheese and anything?
Not about the crisps.
That really got me. This is not about the crisps.
I was listening to the radio the other day, and they were talking about Bobby Ball dying, and they were talking about Cannon and Ball, and that they had no choice. That you go with Cannon and Ball.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be Cannon and
Ball and Cannon.
It goes up.
Ball and Cannon.
Cannon and Ball.
Ball and Cannon. Cannon and Ball.
Little and large. Large and little.
It goes up. Yeah, of course.
It's so good. Yeah, I just love that episode. Just, yeah, has me in pieces every time.
It does, but and the thing is that it's a very sad story, but the last bit of it is actually really lovely and really heartwarming. The final dance performance, and I can't remember if we said it at the time, but it feels like Stephen Reese. That's not just a pair of characters. That feels like Stephen Reese kind of letting something out there as well about their own working relationship, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think they have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't strike me as one of those writing partnerships where they are incredible when they work together, but outside of that, they just don't really talk to each other and aren't really fans of each other. I know there are comedy partnerships who are like that, and they just kind of, nah.
Yeah.
But I don't get the
Dick
sense
and
of
Dom,
that. It's like that with these guys.
Ant and Dec.
You're just casting aspersions there, aren't you? You've got no idea.
No clue. Then Once Removed.
That was a roller coaster of an episode that I think I will mainly remember for the estate agent.
Michael McIntyre. Oh, Mum's ordered me a biryani. So that's heartbreaking. Like, oh
yeah, and also you feel sorry for him, but also you feel, I don't know whether it's the right sort of sympathy.
No, it's
a bit sort of you're pathetic.
Yeah,
but that's quite sad.
Very patronising sympathy for
that's
probably.
That sounds right.
I mean, it's sympathetic not to his end, but to his life, to his
feel bad
entire
for
existence. Yeah, which Steve just creates those characters so well. It's even it's Jonathan Ross and Michael McIntyre. What they do, their love child. If their love child had become an estate agent, that is.
I mean, you're pushing. How likely is this? If Jonathan Ross and Michael McIntyre had a love child, this is what it would look like. This is what it would be like if he became an estate agent.
Yeah.
And does he have a mum who's made him a biryani?
Ordered him a biryani.
Ordered him a biryani. Yeah, this was again, like I said, when we were talking about Zanzibar, this was them. It felt again a bit like a sort of showing off. Mm-hmm. Look what we can do here. And I do wonder if anyone's tried to stitch it together in a more straightforward manner. If you were to take those scenes and stitch them back together in the correct order of showing them what it looks like.
Mm. It'd be interesting to do that, yeah. I think, obviously, in our episode, we kind of walked through it in a sense of tying together the precursors, the things that change, and then going to the reason that they changed.
Actually, I wonder if it would work as a straightforward linear story, or whether there's enough in there that's callback stuff that it just wouldn't really make sense going forwards.
I mean, if going forwards through it, you probably just end up with it's just destruction and chaos.
Someone turns up and starts, poisoning people and shooting stuff. We did have someone message to say that he doubts that rat poison would kill a person because of how rat poison works, and so you'd be unlikely to see someone coughing up blood.
Right. Okay. So that episode is rubbish then.
That throw it out. Gone.
Okay.
It's now my least favourite episode. No, I think it was. Yeah, like I said, it's why not? Why not at this stage have a mess around with stuff?
Oh, it's so good, and it went just because it went against those, like when you see that sort of technique used in other things of the winding the clock back to show the context of how you got to where you got to. It's normally, as we said in the episode, like a day or a week earlier, like 24 hours earlier. Like it's not 10 minutes.
Yeah, and then again,
and over and over and over, and yeah, I mean it seems to work. And you know that one point of contention that I had, that we got to realise that why whatever her name is went back to the house, and it was because her forgotten her dictaphone, and then it's like no, that
it makes sense.
That's the one little missing piece for me, that then everything worked.
Well, I've just thrown a rat poison shaped spanner in the works there.
Yeah, it's a shame.
We'll pretend we didn't get that message.
Even if you have like loads and loads of rat poison.
I can't imagine it'd be good for you.
Maybe had underlying health conditions.
Can rat poison kill you? Oh, you need loads of it. Because it's an anticoagulant. So it thins the blood and slowly kills the rodent.
Okay.
It's slow, so they don't know where it's coming from.
So you'd need loads of it, and it would happen over a period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it.
Speaking of rats, to have and to hold is the next one.
Oh, what a brutal episode.
Adrian is a rat.
He is. He's a horrible, horrible piece of work. I hope we came across clearly enough that we think he's a horrible, horrible piece of work.
We do, yeah. Isla got in touch about this one on the website, on the Libsyn page.
Oh, yeah.
To say this is one of the best episodes of this podcast you've done. So
really?
Thank you, Isla. That was very kind. I reckon, she said, in my humble opinion anyway. I love your banter, not least to talk about pot noodles. There was a question, a very big question mark over whether or not to leave the pot noodle talk in, because we were wondering whether it was potentially too flippant a way of talking about a very horrific subject. But yes, I'm glad that the humour came through and it was okay.
In the right way.
And yeah, I think Isla said, who'd have thought there'd be a number of amusing things within such a bleak plot line for this particular episode.
And I think it needed it. I think the silliness of the pot noodles, because pot noodles are funny. Like, pot noodles are in themselves quite a funny food. Yeah. When you talk about pot noodles, it's never in a complimentary way. Yeah. Unless you're discussing quite how well they can sustain someone locked in the dungeon for years on end. They are a punchline food. And it's those little things that just add a certain levity to what would otherwise just, I think, be just too despairing and dark to get that much enjoyment out of.
Well, as we said, they're the Garibaldi of the spaghetti
world.
They are.
It's specificity that's so important.
Yeah.
Always be specific.
Yeah. And pot noodle, something about just that, the phrase pot noodle, is it phrase like the use, the sound pot noodle as a collection of words? It's like pot noodle. You can use it as an insult, you pot noodle. You can...
A celebration? Pot noodle.
Pot noodle. yeah. Can you use it as like a expression of devastation?
Pot noodle.
Anger? Pot noodle. Yeah, that works. So it's such a versatile food.
It is. I can't argue with that. I don't know how anyone could. And obviously it contains the most awkward scene in all the episodes of Inside Number 9 that there ever has been and ever will be. The excruciating role-playing scene.
It's horrific. Yes. Lauren agrees. Adrian's body language, the awkward pauses and silences. God, I'm watching it right now and I can't. Yeah. It's more uncomfortable to watch than many other things that are really uncomfortable to watch in Inside Number 9. Rivaling Riddle of the Sphinx.
Yeah. Eating a human being.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is, it almost makes it worse when there's that. It's a scene of such awkwardness, and it's making out that he's uncomfortable with it because he's just not into this at all, and she's trying hard and all this, and then very shortly afterwards he goes downstairs and quite happily unzips himself.
Exactly. And, it's juxtaposed with that scene where and the grimness of the way that he unzips his trousers and goes in with his pot noodle into the dungeon is just...
Pot noodle, not a euphemism here.
Well, it could be.
It could be. So versatile.
No, I reckon it is a pot noodle. I reckon he's just got a little tiny pot noodle in those pants.
You're using this as just another way of passing judgment on him.
That's kind of passing judgment on Steve in a way, isn't it?
No, I think there's a difference between how you perceive a character.
The phallus of a character versus the phallus of the actor.
Well, acting and creating a character is all about creating a fallacy, isn't it, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to.
A big fallacy.
boils down to a pot noodle.
It all boils down to a pot noodle. You sound like you're sponsored by the Golden Wonder Company now.
Is that who makes them?
I think so.
If they offered to sponsor the show and give us like as many pot noodles as we wanted,
could eat.
I don't think I'd bother. I wouldn't sign up because I don't really have any interest.
No, and I don't feel like it's one of those things that I could, in good conscience, happily give away to other people. I feel like I'd be contributing to some sort of malnutrition. Although you can get by on them for years at a time.
You can, apparently.
This
episode is not brought to you by Pot Noodle and the Golden Wonder Company.
If you're an organic veg company that wants to get in touch, then we're all ears.
Ears of corn.
It's right. These people are just glad they're listening to a podcast that doesn't have an advert for Squarespace on it yet.
Exactly. Or Harry's Razor Ships.
Razor Ships? What's a razor ship? You got mixed up with sponsorship and razors, didn't you?
So, yeah, John Prescott's cream egg.
No one wants to think about that.
And then we moved on to And the Winner Is.
Yeah. This I don't think we put out a lot of love for And the Winner Is.
No.
Um,
I think I had more love for it after our conversation than I did watching it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's one of the things that always happens when we sit and talk about some of the weaker ones. Is it just that conversation and that process of picking it apart a bit brings out some of the stuff that's underneath that, and you get that sort of appreciation for what they're trying to do. And I think that the overall theme of it was deliberately underwhelming, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think
that's what we came to as a
yeah. That was kind of the point of it.
In Lauren's email, she says, "I do agree with you," because she didn't. I think it's her least favourite episode of the series. She said, "I do agree with you on the point of the deliberate shallowness. Of course, it is. You can't get a bad episode of Inside Number 9 if it's bad." In inverted commas, it's because they want you to experience the badness. It's the magnificence of their writing talent. It makes you think deeper, it gets you more involved and changes your perception. In some ways, if you didn't like Inside Number 9, you'd listen to that in the same way as you'd engage with a conspiracy theory where you're thinking,
everything is just pointing towards the...
Yeah,
you can spin anything round.
Exactly. If you think, say, you take David Icke off your social media channels because he's spouting nonsense.
That's proof of the conspiracy. Yeah.
So it's like, any way that this, like, they can put anything out, and it's really, really crap because they wanted it to be crap.
That's the holy grail of anyone producing anything.
Yeah.
Is people's belief that if it's terrible, then obviously it's intentional.
It's because you're making a deep artistic point about terribleness.
But
I think it's true on this episode.
I think it is. I do think it has merit because we talk a lot about there not being wasted lines and things. And that says that you're not going to have throwaway wasted episodes. If your writing's tight enough that you consider every line that's delivered, then you're not going to put out something that you think is substandard.
No.
And we know that they have the ability to produce the ones that we all think are the absolute crackers and the ones that are by and large universally regarded as incredible pieces of writing. Enough to think that if something that falls a bit flat goes out, it's probably meant to in some ways.
Yeah. Yeah, and in some ways it's more of a challenge to your thinking in terms of like the questions it asks you about.
You've gone David Icke again.
Why why have they put this out? Like what is it they're what point are they making? And we talked at the time about this being, and there's several episodes through the series, not this series, but through the series, the Serai, that look at the industries, like the like actors, theatre, entertainment, art,
the circles that they operate in, and are sometimes, I guess, victims of in some respect.
Yeah. And it's like, what questions are they asking about that, and what point are they making? Yeah. So, no, I think it has a place in the series, definitely. I wouldn't take it out.
I think it would be a bit harsh to say to any of the least favourite ones, this would be better without it.
No, and it's worth it just for the interaction between Noel Clarke and Reese.
Yeah.
Like, I could watch them playing those characters.
Yeah, you're right.
All day long. So I'd love a kind of spin-off documentary that just follows the two of them around. Like
Reese getting himself into situations where he is constantly trying to be in the same room just to agree with him all the time.
And then second guessing okay, if I agree with him on that, then he's going to disagree. So I'll double disagree, and it could be quite entertaining.
Suggest it to Reese.
Yeah, Reese, Noel, if you're listening.
Got an idea for you?
I've
written a whole thing. Can you get on board, please? Hang on a minute. And everywhere they go, they suddenly find you there agreeing with them. Meta.
And then on to Tempting Fate, which we haven't actually had any emails about because...
It hasn't gone out yet, has it? Was it just gone out?
It went out a few days ago.
We'll let them off.
It's been that was a busy few days for people anyway, wasn't it? So.
It was.
Right, keeping you up, aren't we?
Yeah, you are. It's been a long week. So, Tempting Fate, I guess, is the supernatural episode of the series.
Yeah.
There's always one. Some sort of supernatural horror.
Yeah, it's the last. It's always. Although, yeah, I mean, and I talked about it in the episode, like that conflict I had between do I want the supernatural element or do I want to be left guessing, and I think that's why I loved the harrowing, because it left that question open.
There was a conversation going on Twitter with the Inside Number 9 account, and Lewis Cuthbert were talking about someone on Reddit had said that they should have left it, and the supernatural element it wasn't great. That it was supernatural, and we've said before about other TV programs and films as to whether the supernatural element undercuts it and sort of undermines the story a bit. It's difficult. I don't think it does with this.
No.
I think that the stretch though is that if you take the supernatural element at face value for Tempting Fate, then you almost are buying into the myth of the hair, and kind of going along with the idea of it tying everything else together. If that's the intention, I don't know if it is. I don't know if they went into it with that intent or not, or whether that's just something that people have decided because the hair's been there throughout. Generally, it's a program about terrible things happening to people. This could explain all that and tie it all together nicely. Or we've finally had an idea of what we could do with the hair that we've been dropping in all over the place. I don't know where this sits in terms of how they've written things, or whether it's something that's been knocking around for a while, or...
Yeah, it's true. It's a big move to create an episode that everything hinges on, in that sort of sense. But I mean, without the supernatural element, you'd need to write a completely different story. Like, it needs the supernatural element certainly for the last 10 minutes to happen, really.
Yeah. I think, and you kind of said that it ends up a bit backed into a corner in the sense that as soon as the ghost man appears or the undead man appears, then that's it.
Yeah.
There you go. That's your decision made there, really.
And I quite like, because like in our conversation last week about it, we were kind of tripping up slightly over who put the package in the safe, because that was like the double twist of it. Was you're thinking Steve's character, can't remember his name, had killed him and put the package in, like it's him doing that. And that, like, I rewatching it, it was like, that's quite a cool little moment, because that's what you assume has happened. Especially when he's like, because I killed him.
Yeah.
And actually, no, it's not. And Steve's character is just as confused by that conundrum as Reese's character, but you don't realise he is, because all he knows is that he's killed him, and that's where he's confused. But yeah, no, I think it's perfectly great. But as I say, like the harrowing, I think in terms of comparing the different series finales and these more kind of horror-y, supernatural type things, I kind of like the harrowing a little bit more, just because it leaves that. Although the names, normally I'm great with names.
You love them.
Whatever the guy in the bed is in the harrowing, whatever he's called.
The mischief. Demon.
There's the element. You don't like. He could easily be just a human who is either is a little bit deformed or has become deformed by maltreatment and stuff. He's not necessarily some supernatural or demonic thing. That's kind of left up to your imagination, and you're left with that horrific kind of last scene of him coming towards the other character. Oh man.
Look, it has been months.
We've watched a lot of episodes.
I watched a lot of episodes of Inside Number 9.
Overall, amazing series. Probably my favourite series as a whole.
Yeah,
so
I think
far.
so as well. Yeah. Whilst I think that if I was creating my ideal 6-episode series, there might be some ones that I swap out with a couple, but I think as a whole, if I was going to have to pick a favourite series so far, it's probably this one.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. I would agree. Just to go through some of the other emails we've received. Robbie Corrie, thank you for your email.
Late to the party, but always welcome.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's given us his top 15 episodes, which I'm not going to read out because, I think that will be something we can get to.
There's some surprises.
Yeah, there's some surprises. Certainly number 15.
Yep. I mean, this means nothing to anyone listening right now, apart from Robbie. Robbie knows what we're saying. Everyone else, like, what are you talking about? You're not going to tell us what they are, but then you're going to analyse them.
Yeah. No, I'm interested that... there's...
I'm interested that 3 is where it is as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And...
7.
Yeah, and the...
This is ridiculous. I can't believe.
I do. Well,
we're not going to tell you what's on the list.
We're not going to do
cryptically.
But thanks, Robbie. It was a great list. And David Berens. I hope I've pronounced your surname right there. But yeah, thanks for your email and for your amazing video on Instagram. Like, it's really cool. Like, go and check it out if you're listening to this. Well, obviously you are listening to this if you're
you're not the target audience for this. David Berens 13.
Behrens. It's a great video
on Instagram.
So he's built...
It's like a vending machine, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a manual vending machine with a little inside number 9 Easter egg.
Yeah, it's amazing. So he's put a little old brass number 9 door number in the toolbox, which you'll find 6 minutes, 2 seconds. But watch the whole video because it's amazing.
It is.
Yeah, so thanks, David. I just love, the kind of range of people that get in touch and express their enjoyment for Inside Number 9 to start with, and then the podcast for some reason.
And we have one just this evening from Lauren Tyree, who wants to write to us just to let us know that she's found us.
Another Lauren.
And she's another Lauren. And she's a late adopter as well, and is enjoying us along with her rewatch.
That's good.
Yeah. And she's asked about whether the next episode will be the Halloween special, which I believe is answered by the fact that the last episode that you had uploaded before this one,
the previous episode,
the previous episode is the Halloween special.
Yeah. So hopefully I edited that down to what is hopefully a listenable episode. Well, I don't think I've got anything more to say about this series. Really looking forward to starting series 5.
Yeah,
the final series, as we
but
are
not
recording
the
this.
final series.
No.
Oh, and we are going to be at the Stephen Rees event on the 20th. Those
Is that
people
Friday?
asked us
That's
about
this
that.
week. Where are we?
Oh, hang on. Oh, is
No,
that
it's
going to be?
a week on
We
Friday.
will have been there by the time this comes out.
No, it's this coming Friday,
Okay.
I think, when this is released.
Maybe.
So we'll see you there.
It's confusing.
It is confusing.
This doesn't exist in real time.
No, I know. Sorry.
Yeah, we will see any of you there who have bought tickets for that.
Yeah,
Sort of
for the
see
release
you,
of the 1 to 3 scripts, series 1 to 3 script.
They
release.
do look like lovely books.
They do, don't they?
Yeah.
Looking forward to receiving that for Christmas from you.
Is yours coming from... Hang on a minute. See you later.
Have a good week. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.